this meeting.
Yeah. Let me just get a snack first.
Snack? I brought a snack.
Oh, that's okay. I'm good.
No. I got this. Told you I brought a snack.
There's a better way to eat pickles on the go. Sucker Punch, the snack with a snap.
Look at the number of participants who had a shot at this, who wanted to be one of 12 of 60-something thousand. I mean, that's impressive in and of itself. What a diverse group of drivers, what a diverse group of participants. Just really cool. They should all be very, very proud.
Players around 4 platforms. I mean, I'm lucky to be here.
We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the sky. We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the sky. Hickory, dog, giving them to determine. Right in the storm, but focus on rainbow connections like Kermit. The word on my shoulders, it was a burden. Now I don't notice it, everything turning, everything shifting, doing it different. I'm floating, I'm drifting. Shout out the slums, round the world we uplifted, doing it big. We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the skies. We about to change the game. We out here.
Every one of them deserves to be there, celebrating the fact that they were here and a part of this very first ever Prodigy Week for Racing Prodigy, and what a 3 days it was.
And here we go, they're gonna spray it. And let's see if they've learned how to spray the champagne.
It's time to hand out another golden ticket to the Atlanta Motorsports Park. 57 days from today, it will be all about Prodigy Week Part 2 as 18 drivers land at the Atlanta Motorsports Park ready to prove themselves. And here today in the Prodigy Racing League Mazda MX-5 Cup Golden Ticket Series on RaceRoom, powered by SuckerPunch, we'll find out exactly who the third one of those drivers is going to be. Arjuna Kenkipati here and ready to call what's going to be an exhilarating 30-minute final. Brands Hatch, a track known for high average speeds in Mazda MX-5s and high tension in both of our semi-finals. 12 drivers from each have advanced to this final and now put it all on the line with just first receiving an award. Alongside me is Joey Tebben. And Joey, we really talked about passing maybe being difficult. And while passing wasn't necessarily difficult, I think breaking away was what was difficult, and we talked about it in the conclusion to our semi-finals. We don't know if there's going to be a breakaway runaway pack here in this final.
There's 4 drivers that come into this final as sort of the favorites. Michael Romanitis, Philip Drace, Leandro Werla, and Enzo Filippo. Those were the top 2 in each of the 2 semifinals. They did some incredible battling. There was fender rubbing. There was door banging. We're going to see a lot of that in the final as well. The question is going to be for every driver underneath those 4. Are there any underdogs who can move their way through the field? Is there anybody who can master the start, move up a couple spots, and get into the pack to battle at the front? It's going to be very, very hectic stuff in the opening laps here as drivers like Kamto Chakwara look to move up from starting a little bit deeper in the field and catch up to those top 4 favorites.
And of course, we've got so many people to thank for making all of this possible. We had more than 60,000 participants in the build-up to Prodigy Week Part 1, and our partners have helped us to build up to Prodigy Week Part 2. First off, we like to thank SuckerPunch, all-natural pickle juice shooters for clean hydration, pickle chip pouches perfect for those long sim racing sessions or days at the track, and the Jared Pickles with knockout flavor, the true champ of Chomp, now available in the US. Mazda Motorsports has partnered with Racing Prodigy to continue its mission of supporting race car drivers, enriching lives, and developing the next racing prodigies. Mazda is supporting participants by providing $2,500 in coaching vouchers for the Racing Prodigy coaching marketplace. Aztec Wheelbases, with their revolutionary quick release system, allows you to quickly and easily switch wheels with just a click. SimLab P1X Pro Sim Racing cockpits with unparalleled rigidity, functionality, and design are your perfect sim racing base. And last but not least, owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing is the fastest growing North American sim racing chassis manufacturer and equipment retailer. Thank you to all of them for supporting us, and of course the top 25% in this series, not just, of course, eligible to win these Prodigy Passes, but eligible to win a SimLab P1X Pro Sim Racing cockpit, 25 $50 gift cards to the Racing Prodigy coaching marketplace, and 3 $100 Advanced Sim Racing gift cards, and 3 $50 Advanced Motorsports coaching gift cards. Today, though, no points on the line in the overall series championship. Instead, Joey, just one driver going to walk away 30 minutes from now, heading to the Atlanta Motorsports Park.
We saw all that emotion in the intro from all the Prodigy Pass winners of last season. Are we going to see that from anybody today? Michael Romanides has been fighting so hard for so long to win one of these Prodigy Passes on RaceRoom and every other simulator. This could finally be the day he does it. This is his best chance yet.
Quick rundown through the grid. I think we're almost ready to go. Philip Drace and Leandro Werler on the front row. Kamil Polowski and Nico Sono behind them. Enzo Filippo, Michael Romanides, and then Turka Hakkinen, Martin Barner, Jakub Brzezinski, Patrick Shari, and then Vil Cravey, Dennis Schoninger. Those are the drivers inside of the front 12. Then Nathan Maxwin, Michal Nej, Sven de Vries, Ivan Fornes, David Nemchek, Camto Chukwera, Angelo Michel, Thiago Mello, Leonard Heidegger, Brandon Hawkins, Carlos Ocono, and Martin Havlana. 24 drivers locked onto the grid, and with the lights building, it's time to go racing in the final of round 2 of the Prodigy Racing League Mazda MX-5 Cup Golden Ticket Series on RaceRoom, powered by SuckerPunch. Away we go, and it's pretty even at the front as we get ready to dive down through Paddock Hill Bend. It is going to be a tidy run, though, for Drace from Werler, Pavlovsky, and then Sonal. Romanides sits in 5th. A single file, almost 24 machines rise towards Druids.
This looks very familiar to the semifinals. Single file for the opening corners, but it will get crazy soon. Kamil Pavlovsky, who finished 2nd in his semifinal, got 3rd ahead of Nico Sono. The Prodigy Zipper organized them in that fashion. You see a little bit further back, though, Jakub Brzezinski. He was so aggressive in his semifinal. He's already getting aggressive on lap 1, trying to hold off Martin Barna into Surtees.
We kind of wondered if maybe the drivers that really showed speed in semifinals would be the main contenders, but as maybe expected, Draft's going to keep it relatively honest. Left side of the screen, you see the plus and the minuses, not much movement as we work our way in towards Hawthorne Hill, out of Pilgrim's Drop for the very first time. 30-minute race, 10 minutes longer than we had in either of our semi-finals. Keep that in mind when it comes to balance and the tire conservation that drivers will keep in mind. This is, though, really the most fun section of the track, especially in machines like this, down towards Dingledale and rising towards Sheen, where if you're brave, Joey, you can stick it into the breach.
You're a little bit too brave, though. There is that grass waiting to bite. There's grass and gravel waiting to bite on the exit of Sterling's. It's a track that does have a little bit of margin for error. You can keep an MX-5 going through the grass, but if you're wide out through there, you are losing tons of time, and you can't afford to do that too many times. Side by side for P4, though, Romanides is looking to move his way forward. He should have finished ahead of Nico Soner if he didn't get into the back of Philip Drace in his heat, so he knows he's probably a little bit faster and needs to make track position now.
So a half-hearted attempt as well for Leandro Werler to have to fend off the challenge from Pavlovsky. Watch from behind us. I think that is going to be Romanides in the SuckerPunch car now, defending from Turka Hakkinen in the black Aztec SimSport car, lurking in the inside, but outside switches back to inside as down into Graham Hill Bend you will descend. Hakkinen feels brave, though, and you can run onto that AstroTurf to try and take advantage. All these 22 drivers or so at the front running cleanly. It looks like Carlos Ocono, unfortunately, has had an issue as almost 3 wide. We go through Surtees.
And Romanitas got ahead of this just at the right opportunity. He was losing a ton of time, but he is not out of draft range, nor is Nico Sunil. These guys are in danger, though. Enzo Filipao, he's up a couple of spots. I misspoke earlier and said he finished second in his heat. He actually finished third, so he's looking forward. Hakkinen and Brzezinski in very similarly painted cars kicking up dust. It's only 3 minutes into the race, and you're already seeing the level of aggression we're going to see for the next 27 minutes.
We might actually be seeing a 3-car train already starting to break away. Just keep your eyes on the fact that Nico Sonal and Michael Romanitas now almost a full second off of the podium sitters in this final of the second round, and we mentioned it in the semi-finals. Round 3, the final round in this Mazda MX-5 Cup Golden Ticket Series, begins at Mid-Ohio in just a few hours' time. So head on over to racingprodigy.com. Get your RaceRoom Game Pass available for just $14.99, which enters you into every Prodigy Racing League event on RaceRoom for the next 12 months. And I must say, I hope that, Joey, we keep this Mazda MX-5 because it's great as Michael Romanitas up the inside and trying to work forward to those podium spots.
And this is a big decision for Romanitas, and he made the right one. He got by Cernal into turn 1 without any difficulty whatsoever. It was a risk, because if he ran side by side with Cernal, that would entirely lose them the top 3, and that would mean that Romanitas and Cernal will be fighting for 4th place at the absolute best. But he made the move when he had the opportunity, cleared him into turn 1, and hopefully for him, it's not going to be a fight, and he can set his sights forward on those front 3. He's out of draft range now. He only needs about half a tenth, though, to get back in there and think about this win again.
And, you know, we were talking in semi-finals as Martin Barner 3 wide off the corner, and of course one driver going to end up in the grass. And now, fortunately, not too much momentum being lost, as Joey had kind of alluded to before, but now bumper drafts being played and all sorts of shenanigans on the run in towards Hawthorns, who's going to get out of this on the other side cleanly. And remember, all of this dragging them away from those in front. Great fighting, but my heavens above, it's not what they wanted to see.
And this might not be the fight for the win, but it is the fight for every single spot as you move forward, as there's some extra rallycross. Nathan Maximin, I think, going over the Maximin of the track limits, losing even more time and falling even deeper in this train. It's very easy to do that, to get into a bad rhythm, and that was a bad dive. I think that was Vil Cravey going around, and they pile in.
It was indeed. Sven de Vries tangled up as well. A couple of drivers will just sail on through, and David Nemchek is now +5 from where he started. So some drivers have been taking advantage of this pack racing. Now on the exit of that final corner, they were definitely making contact, but were able to get through that one without too much drama. So, I mean, great to watch. It's allowing those up front to just continue to break away. And going back to Romanitas, now that he's clear of Nico Sonal, hasn't really made inroads on the top 3 just yet. You can keep an eye on the leaders on the left side of your screen. He's still, Joey, a full second off of them.
The old double feature. There's just so much to watch. You need to have both of your eyes. You need to have 3 eyes, potentially, to be able to see everything that's going on. Brandon Hawken on the right side of your screen. Kind of unfortunate to see him as deep as he is in the field. He's a very exciting driver, but he's getting excitable, I think, as he gets forced out of the way again. He may fall all the way to the back of this pack, and all he can do now is just fight for every spot he can get and at least try and maximize this finishing position as he thinks forward to the next event at Mid-Ohio.
And remember, he dropped back in the semi-final at one point outside of the top 12, was able to get back in. So, you know, just about squeaked in, started towards the tail end, 22nd place, penultimate row, and left him at a bit of a disadvantage, and now finds himself already 9 seconds off of the lead. Let's jump back to them with 24 minutes left to rumble. Still waiting for Romanitas to join them, but he is closing in that SuckerPunch car. He's bringing the pit fit entry of Nico Sonal with him too, but Drace in the SCCA car, and then Pavlovsky and Werler chasing behind, at least right now, haven't started forcing the issue just yet.
And this is kind of incredible for Michael Romanitas. He made this up with no draft help whatsoever, and with no help of the top 3 fighting with each other. This is just raw speed, and that's very scary for everybody up front. You see Leandro Werle sending it side by side now for P1. He's trying to get around Philip Drace because he knows this is not just the 3-car battle anymore. Michael Romanitas is probably the fastest driver in the field right now. He's in this battle, and Nico Sonal is taking a back seat, looking to pounce just like he did in semifinal 1.
And we've got action at the front, business picking up. Leandro Werle tried to make the move in the white Acetec SimSport car. You've got the white SCCA machine that leads. And then, of course, third for Kamil Pavlovsky in the MPI car, the bright green for SuckerPunch. making it nice and easy to figure out who is who. As back out of Surtees, we will cycle around on lap 4. 22.5 minutes still left to go. These drivers get up to around 180, 190 odd kilometers an hour at their maximum, but really it goes back to the average corner speed that we were talking about that makes it such a high commitment. I mean, you look off the back of the race leader and you just see how close they run as well through some of these corners.
That onboard bumper cam is always crazy because that's not even the closest they get. If there's a little bit of a bump to the rear end, you're going to see it and the camera's going to be totally blocked. And we've seen that so many times so far this afternoon. It is full contact sports car racing when you're in an MX-5. If you want to push, if you need to push, you can definitely get away with it. Leandro Werle did not have a good run through those final couple of corners, though. Lost a little bit of ground to Drace, and he may lose ground to Pavlovsky, who's now looking for the move into the final corner.
Yeah, but a bit of contact on entry. I think eventually Pavlovsky just realizes that Romanidis is there and he's got to block the momentum. Here comes the Coanda Esports driver in that bright green machine. Not going to get the run down into turn 1, but now Nico Sonal has joined them as well. And not far off behind, Jakub Brzezinski, Turka Hakken, and Enzo Filippo. Those are all drivers that have shown speed on occasion as well. Maybe not the consistency from these drivers up front from qualifying through to the race as well, but you can't count any of them out, especially knowing, of course, Nikodem Wisniewski, the G2 Esports driver who won the very first Prodigy Pass in the Prodigy Racing League Season 1 Part 2, will be cheering on his teammate Jakub Brzezinski and be hoping he can close that margin down. Never say never with 21 minutes left to go.
And unfortunate news for fans of Sven de Vries. He's already our first DNF of the day, so unfortunate for him, but did a good job to make the semifinal, or to make the final. I have a feeling we'll see him again at Mid-Ohio next week, or in the coming weeks, rather. Ivan Fornes, he's trying to look forward, but this battle for about 14th through 20th has just been kind of exactly that. They haven't been moving forward. They've just been battling for every spot they can possibly get and just going for glory at this point. The win is probably out of the conversation if you're as far back as here. You just want every spot, every bit of practice you can get in the next 17 minutes that you can take on into the future.
Yeah, these points don't end up counting for the season-long championship in the Prodigy Racing League Mazda MX-5 Cup Golden Ticket Series on RaceRoom, powered by SuckerPunch. The winner of that across the 3 rounds at Road America here at Brands Hatch, and then, of course, at Mid-Ohio in the build-up, that points winner also gets a Prodigy Pass, and then of course the top 25 in season points are eligible to submit a video to the Prodigy Search Selection Committee, and we will select 2 more drivers, 6 in total from RaceRoom, to go and represent at Prodigy Week. And there's a look to the outside. Leandro Werle got a great run out of the opening corner, door-to-door contact. He's bullied wide off the apex. Can Pavlovsky take advantage on the run down the hill?
You don't think about it, but unfortunately the door is just not open again. That's exactly what's going to make the 3 drivers at the back of this train very happy, though. That kind of side-by-side running, the door banging, and the potentially running each other off the road. That's what's going to open the door. If you're a driver like Romanidis or Nico Sonal, you need trouble in the front. You need those doors to be open because you can't really make those passes on your own when you're in a draft train like this. You need a little bit of help, and Pavlovsky forces the door open on Werle coming down the straight.
Word coming in, by the way, as you see just the twitch of the car as it sends it into the corner. Romanidis finished rounds 1 and 2 number 1 in points. So even if he doesn't force the issue here and finally claim the Prodigy Pass today, he's got a real shot of advancing through the regular leaderboard, and that's why you're not going to see him force the issue. Although I will say, I hope we get a tune out of Michael Romanidis at some point, because that piano's been looking in the background for a long, long time. If he gets a Prodigy Pass, he better have his own victory song ready to go.
Yeah, that would be key if he can get that done. But I think he wants to win on track. He wants to win on track. I don't think he wants to win in the points. I don't think he just wants the crescendo at the end of the season to be, yay, you didn't win a race, but you won in the points. He wants to win a race. He wants to do it straight and get that Prodigy Pass the old-fashioned way.
Did you mean to make that pun?
Yes, and I tried to talk long enough that you would not be able to come back to it.
It is key. I mean, that is just piano humor at its worst.
We love piano
however
humor.
You want to look at it. There's a look at Kamil Pavlovsky, no piano behind him, as he looks very, very focused. I mentioned it in the semi-final. Got a handbrake there. I hope he doesn't ever need to use that in this Mazda MX-5, though.
Yeah, he didn't in the semifinal. I mean, Romanitas might have needed to use it in the semifinal. Remember his incident with Nico Sonnel in the second to last corner? There was a big slide there. So who knows? Maybe on the final lap, if it comes down to who's got the most car control recovering from an incident, maybe that handbrake could help him spin it around faster than anybody else.
Still got Brzezinski and Hakkinen not too far back. It's 1.2 between them and this lead of 5 cars that now rumbles. 17 minutes still left on that clock. So we're nearing around the 20-minute mark when drivers will know, based on the semi-final, what the condition of their tires are going to be like. After that, though, in racing conditions, 30 minutes, who's got the most grip? That's what we're waiting to see, especially in these Mazdas where you do spend an awful lot of the time, it seems as though, effectively four-wheel drifting them. I mean, look at how much sideways lateral slip Philip Drace had there in the race-leading machine. And one thing that he had in semi-final 1 was a lot of fun with Michael Romanidis. You know what we didn't see so much of a semi-final 2 with Leandro Werler and Kamil Pawlowski? Fun.
It was a little bit less fun. I think it was reasonably fun, though. They had a couple of moments. It just unfortunately came down to the final lap being a little bit less close. But that's what I like about this format here. You got semifinal 1, semifinal 2, and the best drivers from each advances into the final. That means that you've kind of got new battles introduced in the final. You've got used to the people you were racing in the semifinal, but now suddenly Michael Romanidis didn't race with Leandro Werle in the semifinal. He might not necessarily know his techniques. He might not know his style of racing as much, but he's got to merge with him now, and you've got the blending of the styles all the way down the field.
And of course, you know, we talked about there being 6 Prodigy Passes being winnable from RaceRoom. There's 6 available on iRacing as well, and 4 from Street Kart Racing. I did want to highlight that the second event on Street Kart Racing, which you can download on the Apple App Store, the daily qualifiers closed yesterday, but the finals run for the next week. So a week from today, we'll know another driver from Street Kart Racing, so from their iPhone, from their iPad, that will go and join Craig Tough Monkey Laws as representing the Street Kart Racing community in Prodigy Week. It's always crazy to think that there are very, very capable, talented drivers who can master the art of balancing grip on a phone. And we saw Lauren Beerton in Prodigy Week Part 1, 737 pilot by day, Street Kart racer by night, and now Prodigy Pass winner.
He can do it anyway. I mean, if there was like a speed pickle eating contest, I think that'd be the way I get my Prodigy Pass in. But Street Kart Racing, it's I still haven't successfully downloaded it yet, Arjuna. We've talked about this every week. I need to do that so I can try and get in on the next one, because that might be my only chance.
And then you don't even have to leave the commentary booth. See, you're thinking big brain.
Exactly.
Now,
I can do it while I'm commentating right now. I can use my phone.
Philip Drace goes very defensive on the run up towards Druids, really still forcing Werler to commit the long way around. And now finally, Kamil Pawlowski's alongside down into Graham Hill Bend. He'll back out, but only after finally putting his nose into the fight. And that ITB machine is surely going to be thinking, if I can get a little bit of a better exit, I can stick alongside and maybe try and do something different. We've got 5 cars split by under a second as we work down onto the Pilgrim's Drop. Still Jakub Brzezinski, Turka Hakkinen not far behind, keeping honest. And we did see in semi-final 2, Enzo Filipao getting stronger and stronger as the race went on.
And rather scarily, we're past halfway. I don't know how this happened. I don't know where the first 16 minutes went, but we've only got probably about 9 laps to go at the line, if my calculations are correct. So if you want to start pouncing, if you want to start moving forward, you can't really afford to wait any longer. We talked at Road America about the peloton of sorts, about how you hold back for a couple of moments, you maybe start pouncing at the end of 10 minutes to go, and then you start making your moves. You can't afford to wait at all here. You needed to start making your moves at the start of the green flag. And that's what a lot of these drivers have been doing, but it's so difficult to pass around here that Michael Romanidis and Nico Sonnel and even Brzezinski, if they want to move forward, they can't afford to wait any longer. They need to push and open some doors aggressively.
At this point as well, you can see that Pawlowski's forcing the issue. He's making Leandro Werle do something, and there was definitely 3-car train pushing out of turn 1. Pavlovsky goes to the inside. Whirler's got no choice but to go the long way around. Similarly behind, Romanidis side by side with Sonal, and back to the inside goes the bright orange machine of Pavlovsky. The MPI car stays where it is. Status quo remains, but business starting to pick up, and with the elbows rising, intensity building as well. That's the one moment that maybe those behind, Jakub Brzezinski, Turka Hakkinen, needed to get back into drafting range.
Well, that was a little bit of a pool ball move, or a billiards move, a snooker move. That was Pavlovsky basically forcing Philip Drace into the corner and trying to get both of them out of the way, incidentally or deliberately. Either way, that was the kind of thing he needed to do. It didn't work out for him that time, but you're going to see that a lot more as they're almost 3 wide, bumper to bumper to bumper, and that is Leandro Werle across the grass.
But what car control, back into line and without really slipping over each other. Again, nothing really has changed other than now Jakub Brzezinski and Turka Hakkinen have joined all of that. That was building, that was inevitable, and now with 12 minutes still left to go, Joey, something like that surely is not far away from happening again.
No, when something like that happens, when the aggression rises to that level, it doesn't really stop. It's going to happen again, and it's not going to go quite as well the next time. Racing drivers do not learn from situations like that because they can't really afford to learn from a situation like that. They need to keep fighting. They need to keep going for the win. And you're going to see that level of aggression yet again. 3 wide to turn 1. Pavlovsky can't make it happen. He's got to slot back in line, but look for the bowling ball move into Druids again if he can get close enough. He can't get to the bumper this time, though.
Big commitment under the brakes from the Brazilian, and really trying to pinch Drace onto the inside curb, but just look how he tries to then run Werle out of room in response. This is high-level racecraft. I mean, Mazda MX-5, I think, definitely proved this past weekend that the racing in the real world is up there in terms of caliber of talent with anyone else out there. Unfortunately for Camto Chukwuera, he drops to the back of the field. Carlos Acono, Sven de Vries, and Ivan Fornes, 3 confirmed DNF/disqualifications in one case, and not going to see the end. We will get 11 minutes still left to go in this one, and Joey, I have no idea who comes out on top. I'll give you an opportunity to think about an answer, but I want to hear an answer from you. No sitting on the fence here.
I don't know. I don't know if I can afford to jinx anybody, Arjuna. I might have to sit on the fence, but I think it has to be from the front too. It has to be either Drace or Werle. The only way that's not happening is if they come together again and they're both taken out and Pavlovsky comes in to snatch it. But I think it's coming from the first 2. I'll give you a real decision in about 8 minutes time.
8 minutes. Oh, you're really going to cover yourself off there and give yourself some more time.
Exactly. As soon as the white flag comes out.
What I will say is I remember talking with Moritz Lohner, who's competed in many a RaceRoom esports competition before and actually won a season in DTM Trophy through RaceRoom. And what he said was RaceRoom's online contact model is amongst the best that there is. It allows you to do things you may not dare on other platforms. We're bumper to bumper and all over each other out of turn 1. 3 wide for the lead, and there'll be 3 wide behind as well. Where does Philip Drace go? Not to the lead, because Kamil Pavlovsky's ripped it away from him. Michael Romanidis second. Werle now suddenly down to 5th position. And has there been drama? Philip Drace was instantly sent back to pit lane.
I do wonder, was that the incident limit, Arjuna, that Philip Drace hit with that contact? You only get 30 incident points in a race like this, and he might have run off track too many times, and then a couple extra points for contact there. They have just ended the day for Philip Drace.
And he had led for a solid 20 minutes. One moment with car contact changes the picture, and suddenly things have changed around. Michael Romanidis in the hot seat. Turka Hakkinen still representing NeedRacing.com, while Philip Drace unfortunately has his issues. He suddenly finds himself promoted into the hot seat. Brzezinski in 4th, Brzezinski in 5th, Werle in 4th. I don't even know what to say right now.
Remember when I said I wasn't going to make my decision for about 8 minutes? That's exactly why. They went 3 by 3, Indy 500 pace lap style into Druids. Everybody made contact. There was not a single car that came out of that corner with no damage on it, or at least no rubbed paint off of it. That's incredible stuff. And suddenly Pavlovsky and Romanidis, who may have been totally out of this, may have just been forced to fight for 3rd, the 2 in front of them end up tripping over each other, and suddenly we've got 2 new stars, and Turka Hakkinen as well, the potential underdog from 4th.
You got to wonder if some of the other drivers have been a little bit more careful about how much they run off the track and whatnot, but oh, that's going to put some nerves. Romanidis gets it pushed wide slightly by Turga Hakkinen. We'll just say, by the way, only 23 took to the start. I was trying to figure out what happened. Seemed as though Dennis Schoeniger had a slight technical issue. He wasn't able to get ready in time to get to the grid, and so 23 ended up starting on board with a lot of lock being wheeled through Surtees as behind. Leandro Werler tries to fend off Jakub Brzezinski as well as Nico Sonal. They have still potentially got to worry about Enzo Filipao, Michal Neg, and a couple of others behind who are now slowly, Joey, starting to close as well.
Well, Enzo Filipao should really be up here. He had an issue early on. I think it was coming out of Druids, lost some time, fell down a couple of spots. So by virtue of some good luck and some hard racing up front, Enzo may just get to retake his spot in this pack. He's going to be in with a very difficult job, though. Being 7th in line here, it's not the worst place in the world if they go 3 wide into Druids again, 2 by 2, but I don't know of the high likelihood of that happening. There is still going to be hard racing up front, but you're going to want to be in that lead pack, in those maybe top 3 spots if you're going to want to win this race, because as they cross the line this time, I think it's going to be 5 laps to go only.
I'm not going to stick my nose in with the math there. I'm going to trust you since we're around a similar sort of clock range to where we were the last time I asked that question. Now, Jakub Brzezinski's onboard shows him very, very focused. We were taking a look at what some of the drivers are doing in between their respective semi-finals and the final. Brzezinski just sat in his rig, was on YouTube, very, very relaxed. He's feeling a little bit more stressed right now as Sonal's pit entry tries to get up the inside, but Brzezinski's not going to have that. He might still have an overlap down the hill in towards turn 3, gives it a good go and gonna lean on each other very slightly. Brzezinski holds a little bit of room for Nico Sonal to then come back and squeeze him back, and more great side-to-side racing with 6 minutes to go. But all of this happening as at the front of the field, Pavlovsky and now Hakkinen starting to try and build a gap to those behind.
Yeah, this is worrying for Brzezinski and Sonal. It's a little bit too late to be fighting like this, I think. You can see the gap's already expanded to 1.5 seconds, and as they run side by side through the 90-degree corner at Hawthorns, they're just losing and losing and losing even more time. Sonal's forced off the road. He's going to slot back in line ahead of Filipao, but now it's a 3-car battle for 4th, and it's not going to be a battle for the win anymore for these guys.
Now, you would think unless something else was to happen up front in the next 5 minutes, Filipao will get past Nico Sonal on the rise up in towards the Sheen curve. And now just Sterling's back towards Clark and to the line to make it 5 minutes left. So, Emil Pavlovsky leads by around 0.3 of a second from Turka Hakkinen, Michael Romanidis, and then Leandro Werler, who sat for so long in second, now demoted down to 4th and trying to scheme his way, architect his way back to the front. 5 minutes left. Do believe that we are going to officially have those 4 laps left to run. Do you feel like you can pick a winner now, Joey? We're down to 4.
No. I would have a 25% chance of picking the winner, but that's why I had to delete DraftKings, because my chances are usually never right.
So we'll give you another couple of minutes. We'll see if things become a bit clearer. That's the red and white SuckerPunch entry of Enzo Filipao that's going to pressure onto Nico Sonal after closing back up. He's another one that you do have to look sideways in order to
That's just how
take a
cameras
look
are
at the
in
webcam.
France.
Well, see,
that's just how they build them.
There's a joke there to be written, right? If someone comes in from Australia or New Zealand and their camera is upside down as Filipao runs a little bit wide. I didn't realize there was a joke to be made about people in Europe potentially being sideways.
In Montenegro, they point them to the left. In France, they point them to the right. Who knew? We're learning new things about camera manufacturing today.
It's a good point. They were actually both in different directions, weren't they?
Yeah. I don't even know how that's possible. They must be on a phone or something. They must be those new French phones.
We have 10 different countries represented in the top 10 right now as it stands. Remember, 9 countries represented in the 12 drivers that made up the Prodigy Week Part 1 driver crew. We'll have a total of 18 drivers at Prodigy Week Part 2 on May the 13th to start things off. We'll find out how much of an international contingent we'll have once again. Nathan Maximum, I think, has joined the disqualification club along with Philip Drace and Ivan Fornes. Of course, 10 more minutes, actually, Joey. Something else to consider if you're cutting the track a lot and racking up those points. I hope you were keeping that in mind when it came to the 30-minute main event.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of this series as a whole. The 30 incident point limit. Hakkinen tries to send it to the inside to Druids. Doesn't open the door all the way, but definitely forced Pavlovsky into a mistake. Got a little bit deeper than he would have liked. The outside, though, coming down the hill here doesn't really work out very often, and that's going to allow Romanitas to get to the inside now. That's exactly what Michael needed. A door to open for him, and Turka did open it for him.
And can he take advantage and make the move stick? He gets a bit of contact with Pavlovsky as they work off the corner. Hakkinen ran into the grass for a moment, and now Leandro Werler, not with some draft, but still with the opportunity just to cycle on through and make third his own as single file once again. 2.5 minutes left on that clock. It's 4 cars, split by less than half a second as they flick it to the right, out of Hawthorns, in towards Westfield. Oh, big moment there for Hakkinen, sawing at the wheel.
He's feeling a little bit hot right now, I'm sure. Was in the fight for the win. Was in one of the best places potentially in second, and now he's all the way at the back of this train with all of that work to do ahead of him. It's not over though. Romanitas and Pavlovsky, they both had their chances to get aggressive in the semifinals. When you put 2 aggressive drivers together, maybe even 3 with Leandro Werler behind, I don't know. There's a high likelihood that as I think we're going to take the white flag this time, we have not seen the last bits of contact in this race.
Watch it tick down. Average lap times around 1:39. So will it be the white flag? Will we be destined to see 2 more? It's very close. It could be 2. I mean, every race we've had today, it's been close. Now, do these drivers feel confident? Does Michael Romanitas think he's got to go for it up towards Druids? Pavlovsky doesn't give him the choice. Rising up in towards the corner, onto the brakes. Really out there for Romanitas. He gets the rear end stepping out of him. Behind, Hakkinen gets past Leandro Werler. This may very well be the final lap of the race.
Romanitas sent a massive throw into Druids to try and get around the outside of Pavlovsky, but it was a little bit too aggressive, got a little bit too late in the brakes, and lost quite a bit of time there. He needs to focus in the rest of this middle sector, getting closer to Pavlovsky. Use this long straight to get as close as humanly possible. Hope you can get a good run through Hawthorne, through Westfield, and through Sheen, because you're only going to get a couple more chances through those final 2 corners if this is the last lap indeed.
Remember, Romanitas P1 in points in both rounds 1 and 2 in this Prodigy Racing League Mazda Golden Ticket MX-5 Cup Series on RaceRoom, powered by SuckerPunch. He's not going to go for it this time. He's not close enough. I get the sense 1 more, Joey. I think we're going to get 1 more in the books.
I think the drivers might know. I'm not totally sure, but they might get told if it's the white flag by a virtual crew chief or by the sim. But I don't know. I don't know what the drivers are seeing right now.
We'll find out based on the reaction potentially from Kamil Pavlovsky out of the final corner. Is he going to be celebrating? Does he still have 1 more lap to hold on? The clock's ticking down. It's going to strike 0 right around the time these drivers see the line. And 1 more lap we'll have here in the final of the Prodigy Racing League Mazda. Oh, it's the final! Kamil Pavlovsky, the reaction! He's going to the Atlanta Motorsports Park, the winner in the Prodigy Racing League Mazda MX-5 Cup Golden Ticket Series on RaceRoom, powered by SuckerPunch. He's only finally just realized, Joey, what this means to him.
I think he realized just as we did, it wasn't just a race against the drivers, it was a race against the clock as well. But the clock said, Kamil, it's over. You get the checkered flag, and you get to take that win. The 2nd Polish driver and the 2nd G2 esports driver to win in the last 2 events. 97 thousandths of a second. That was the margin that differentiated us between another lap and finishing this one after what was a dramatic end. Romanitas 2nd, just short, but Boise staking a claim to be there in the future. And then Hakkinen, Werler, Brzezinski, Sono, Filipao, Nej, Shari, and then Nemchek. The rest of your top 10. Leonard Heidegger, 11th for him after starting towards the back. A couple of drivers really having to work their way on through. What a final that was. Joey, I thought for a second we were going 1 more lap. I thought Kamil Pavlovsky was going to have to deal with the pressure of 1 more lap, but you could see the relief being lifted, and the ITB driver is going to the Atlanta Motorsports Park, and I can't wait to catch up with him in just a few moments' time. Indeed, the ITB driver, not the G2 driver. That was the other Polish driver, Jakub Brzezinski, so forgive me for that, but you could see the elation on his face, and we talked about in the semifinals that you don't see the drivers necessarily that excited for their race wins. That's because they know there's so much more to fight for in the finals. But once you've succeeded, once you get through 30 minutes of that level of aggressive racing, it's absolute elation. And I think he's going to be a very, very happy boy, and he's very excited to come to the Atlanta Motorsports Park.
He's been jumping around of different platforms to then come and join us here on Race Room in this Golden Ticket Series. And we're joined now by our winner here in round 2 from Brands Hatch, Kamil Pawlowski. I mean, Kamil, we could see the relief for you as you came across the line, the celebration, the joy. Talk to us. What does it mean to be the winner of Prodigy Pass and heading to the Atlanta Motorsports Park?
Thank you so much. I am so happy, especially that was my first ever race in RaceRoom. So I literally have zero experience in this game. I committed myself last 2 weeks so much to understand the game, maximize my pace. But this race, I knew that I could not be the fastest in terms of the pace. So I needed to race strategically and very smartly. So I didn't want to pass the second driver and try to pass him. Just wanted to wait for their action, their battles, to make advantage of their battle. And this happened. I was in perfect position after corner 1 to corner 2, took the inside. It was the very crucial and super important move to gain on P1. But then it was still 10 or 15 minutes until the end of the race. I needed to defend so much. Yeah, the relief after crossing the finish line, especially on the finish line, there was 0 seconds left. So I was really afraid. I was curious if it will be next lap or we are finishing on this lap. And I saw Michael Romanidis just right on back on me on this last lap. And the relief of emotion when it was 0 was just, oh my God, I'm so happy and really proud of myself considering really lack of experience in this sim.
You mentioned the lack of experience, but you've experienced a lot in the world of sim racing, right? World's fastest gamer a few years ago. You were Ferrari esports champion back in 2021. Racing Prodigy is preparing for the Prodigy Draft, where Prodigy Week drivers may get the opportunity to be selected as a real-world Prodigy Racing League driver and sign a paid professional racing contract. What would that mean to you? You talk about, the emotions of just getting to here and getting the win. What does that next step look like for you?
Yeah, now I really need to think about that it's real and it will happen, and it will happen very, very soon because it's happening next month. As you mentioned, I do sim racing full time. I do sim racing professionally for about 5 or 6 years already. And in terms of real motorsport experience, this is my dream, this is my goal, and I want to fulfill it. And I think the only way for me is by sim racing and by showcasing the talent in sim racing, because there's more and more projects like this where you can, by sim racing, win some competition and have some experience on real track. As you said, I was doing World Fastest Gamer, a similar opportunity from Sim to Real, a Dream to Drive competition in Lithuania, and now Racing Prodigy. So I will really do my best to be the best there on the track, and I really cannot wait.
One more question, we'll let you go celebrate. Part of course, Prodigy Week is going to be a fitness assessment. I know you've been doing a lot of fitness. You did a 5K, you beat your PB. You're doing a half marathon, I think in a week's time. What's your goal for that one? What's the goal time?
Oh, yeah, actually, yes, exactly. I'm doing half marathon next week in Warsaw, in Poland. Goal is to, I do running for about 5 years already, but I switched to more serious running for about 1 year or half a year, and I was preparing very much for a half marathon, and I am aiming to beat 1 hour 30 minutes. So
well,
fingers crossed for me, especially that's my debut and the pace is very high, but I cannot wait. Fitness is my everyday thing. I do running, I do gym sessions, so yeah.
Well, you can come and join me for a run around the Atlanta Motorsports Park during Prodigy Week, just as long as you don't expect me to run that fast. Congratulations, Kamil Pawlowski. You're going to the Atlanta Motorsports Park on May the 13th.
Thank you very much.
We'll head down from Kamil Pawlowski to second place. Michael Romanidis standing by with Joey Tebben.
Indeed we will. Michael Romanidis Unfortunately, yet again, talking to you as a second place finisher, but it came down to that final lap. It came down to potentially the difference between a checkered flag and a white flag. What more did you need in those final laps to take this win?
Not a lot, to be honest. Maybe just one more chance in the last lap. I think we finished with 30 minutes and 1/10. So if the last lap was like 2/10 quicker, we would have had one more lap. Which I was counting on. I was kind of looking at the lap time at the last lap and correlating it with the time remaining, and I couldn't tell because it was so close. But yeah, in the end, just as we went across the line, we saw the final lap, and yeah, I keep getting quite close. Every time a little bit closer. This time just 1/10. But yeah, as far as I understand the format, there is quite a decent advantage from the leaderboards, so that's what I'll be aiming at for week 3. But of course, it would have been quite nice to lock it in actual race.
Coming into the next event, Mid-Ohio, the final of the RaceRoom events planned. I assume we're going to see you there leading that championship. How much more confidence are you going to take into that, knowing that you've been so competitive in these last 2 and you know you can fight for the win?
Yeah, I'll definitely be trying quite a lot, especially on the leaderboard, just trying to maximize that and then basically see how that goes. And yeah, probably I'll be hopefully I can qualify, and hopefully I'll be taking part in that race as well. It's a track which I don't think I've ever done a race at. Barely know where the track goes, to be honest. So yeah, we'll have a look at that and yeah, see. But of course, with these cars, the races are quite fun, at least. But yeah, they're quite tricky to manage as a driver. You have so many different drivers. I think there was a 7-car train today, just fighting for the win because of how the slipstream is. But yeah, it was quite entertaining, hopefully, and yeah, eyes on the next race.
Was entertaining indeed. Michael, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll have you playing that piano after your next win.
Thank you.
Michael Romanides coming home second today, Arjuna, but it looks like we've got third place Turka Hakkinen as well.
Yes, and I hope Michael knows that we're going to hold him to that. Turka, seemed like a very interesting race from your perspective. You had to initially work to close up to the lead pack, and then your teammate Philip had his unfortunate moment that saw him drop from the race, get disqualified on incident points, and suddenly you're in second and fighting for the win. What went through your mind in that moment as you found yourself battling for the lead?
I mean, when you are in P7 and the whole queue is doing the same speed as you are kind of just waiting for an opening. And when I saw that squabble into turn 1 and 2, I knew it was my moment. So I just went for it, took my usual line and found myself in P3. And from there, you can actually do a lot more since it's not just a slipstream train and you can actually make a difference with your racecraft.
And so we just asked Michael a little bit about going over to Mid-Ohio, the type of racing that we're going to see there. Comparing Road America to this, very different sort of a track. Do you think Mid-Ohio is going to be a bit more similar to this in that we might see a little bit of plenty of 2-wide and 3-wide action?
It's going to be closer to this. I think Mid-Ohio suits this car the best. It's going to be amazing racing, so you don't want to miss that for sure.
How confident are you feeling?
Well, I have a great teammate who's good enough to help me. So let's see what we can do together. And I think Mid-Ohio is a good track for me. So let's see if we can at least get one car through to the golden ticket.
Well, best of luck, Turka. It was a very interesting day today and can't wait to see you both hopefully back out at Mid-Ohio.
Thank you.
Always great to be able to catch up to 3 drivers, all with cameras to look at as well, and to be able to see their faces, to see the emotion. And the emotion from Kamil Pawlowski. Again, just to reiterate, if that final lap of that final had been 97 thousandths shorter, we probably would have seen another lap. That was the margin that Michael Romanides thinks he might have needed, Joey, to go for the win.
It was good to hear from Michael, though, in that interview that he's not feeling too bad about coming home short so many times. He is in the lead of the season-long standings by a good margin, and if he's as consistent as he's been at Mid-Ohio in the next event, he'll probably get the Prodigy Pass that way, but I know he wants to win a race finally. He's had so many chances, he's been so close, and I want to hear him play the piano, gosh darn it.
Yes, and, you know, I guess there's 2 ways of looking at it, right? You could be very happy with for example, being Nikodem Wisniewski, you won your Prodigy Pass in the first event, and you've been watching on from the sidelines. You haven't really had to be continuing to fight. In Romanidis' case, he's continuing to be consistently at the top, and that maybe will give him a bit of confidence going into the final round. Again, at Mid-Ohio, you can get your Racing Prodigy membership. The RaceRoom Game Pass is available for $14.99, gets you in to all RaceRoom Prodigy Racing League events for the next 12 months. And let's not forget, top 25% will all now be thinking that, okay, we've got one more chance at Mid-Ohio to win a golden ticket. Maybe Michael Romanidis has already got one hand on the other ticket for the overall championship. Some of these people now are going to be putting together their resumes to be sending over to the search selection committee.
Yeah, it's not just the driving on track that can get you a Prodigy Pass. The search selection committee is a big part of it, and that's plenty of drivers who have maybe shown themselves very, very well in the midfield or at the top of the field, maybe didn't come away with the win. Jakub Brzezinski, I'll give him as an example today, drove from somewhat further back in the field in his semifinal all the way to finishing in the top 5 in the final. That's one of those performances that maybe isn't rewarded with a trophy, but it might be rewarded with a selection by the Prodigy Search Committee.
And we're only 57 days away from May the 13th, from kicking things off for Prodigy Week Part 2 at the Atlanta Motorsports Park. And now we know the third driver that's won their Prodigy Pass from Season 1 Part 2. Oi, can't wait for it. And of course, don't forget, thank you to SuckerPunch, to Asetech, to Grid, SimLab, Advanced Motorsport, and so many others behind the scenes for making this all possible. Don't forget to follow us on the Racing Prodigy YouTube channel, as well as on social media. YouTube is where all the search selection committees will be. Social media is where you can follow all the latest news, including, of course, that Julian Klaffenbach will be joining the winners from Season 1 Part 2 at Prodigy Week Part 2. For the team behind the scenes, for Joey Tebben alongside myself, Arjuna Kangipati, thank you so much for joining us. Just a couple more events to go before we're at Atlanta to do it all again. Can't wait for that. So long for now.